Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're doing well. I just wanted to share a short Torah idea in honor of the birth of my daughter. We're still accepting bets on the Vegas line as to what her name is going to be. We don't yet know. And I'm sorry for all of those who did not win on the betting line for what her weight was going to be. No, we did not intend for her to come into this world 7 weeks early, and there's a reason why betting is not recommended, because I don't know if anyone would really have picked that she would be a 4-pounder. Anyway, onto the substance, onto the tachlis. So this week's Parashat Bechukotai has what's known as the Torah, the section of rebuke that discusses what consequences will result naturally from the lack of performance of the mitzvahs and for morally corrupt behavior by the Jewish people living in the land of Israel. And it's telling to reflect on just how stark this section of rebuke in fact is. The question is, shortly after, there's a section in the parsha that discusses the halachos, the laws related to the redemptive process. Should a person dedicate their personal value to the Beis HaMikdash? And the question bothered me for a while: why are these two sections juxtaposed? Granted, they are not exactly next to each other, but of all the places in the Torah that the laws of Arachin, the evaluative table for personal redemption, when you are going to dedicate your value to the Beis HaMikdash, if you're in this age it's X, if you're in that bracket it's Y. Why is that listed in the same parsha? But you couldn't find anywhere else to put it. Well, what lesson can we glean from this juxtaposition? Juxtaposition, by the way, is one of my favorite art scroll worlds. It means putting one thing next to the other topically. I just feel like I'm supposed to define it to make it seem like I'm not actually just using a word I don't know how to use. Yes, I know what it means, and no, it's not like Deuteronomy where I didn't know what the word meant in English, nor do I know how to spell it. But I knew it referred to Devarim, so I should get brownie points for that. But anyway, closing the parentheses, what can we learn from the fact that the halachos of Arachin, the redemptive value tables, are located next to one of the most depressing sections in Torah? And to me, the answer was something that I think is logical. But once I held my newborn daughter, it had a lot more meaning. I believe the answer is that it's to show that even in the context of Hashem providing a very, very stark, a very, very scary spiritual consequence in the fabric of the land of Israel, that should moral and ethical and halachic corruption take place, that to paraphrase the Torah, the land of Israel is going to spit everything out. It just can't tolerate it anymore. You have someone who has bad food. They cannot tolerate the bad food. Just spits it up. It's not did anything wrong. It's not a punishment. It's a natural consequence. And despite the fact that if the Jewish people reach that level of spiritual corruption and ethical and moral corruption, that the land of Israel just say, we can't take this anymore, we're spitting everybody out, I believe the Torah is teaching us the important and invaluable lesson that even if individuals are receiving this punishment, even if the community is receiving this type of consequence, nevertheless, each and every one of us has inherent value as a human being and has inherent value as a Jew just for existing, just for being in the world, just for being around, just for having been created. Hashem is telling us that we still matter as individuals, we still have value, we still have a purpose. We first need to clean up our act. We first need to turn the ship around, as it were. And I think it's important to reflect on this idea, because sometimes we feel that things in life are difficult, that either we did deserve it, we don't deserve it, but that inherently if we are subjected to such an experience, that it means that we have lost our inherent value, we've lost our substance. And I believe the Torah is telling us that even despite being subjected to the Tochacha, Hashem still loves us as a tzibur, as a community. Hashem still loves us as individuals. And that just for existing, not even being able to do anything from a functional spiritual perspective, we still have that sense of Avas Hashem. And holding my newborn daughter in the neonatal intensive care unit, starting yesterday and continuing yesterday being Wednesday, you have that sense that here's this human being that not only is this child a helpless infant, this infant can't even feed itself, can't even nurse properly, this infant can't even keep itself warm. This infant needs to have extra heavenly protection, but extra human effort to be able to be alive and to continue to develop outside the mother's womb. And as I'm sitting there holding this child, I'm thinking to myself that, well, first of all, the fact that just to talk about thought is like that's not the right accurate word. There's a tremendous amount of emotion, but just analyzing this and kind of taking a step back a little bit, the idea that you're looking at a child who, if we would mark objectively, would be lacking that sense of ability to produce, would in some sense reflect this tochacha of being unable to do anything, less than an infant can do. But as a parent, how can you not love something like this? As a parent, how can you not look at your child and think about what a beautiful creature this is, what a beautiful person this will be? And the Torah says later in Sefer Devarim, Banim atem laHashem Elokeichem. You are like children to Hashem. That refers to each and every one of us. It doesn't only refer to us as a tzibur, it refers to us as individuals. And as we're coming to a conclusion in Sefer Vayikra, the book of Leviticus, I'm going to pretend I know what that word means also. But, it's Leviticus. Yeah, and I know as a result of me saying this, I'm going to get emails like, don't you know Leviticus doesn't mean... No, the answer is I don't offhand, right? I do this very spontaneously. Just to give you a little peek behind the scenes, we're going off of very, very, just a little bit of a note idea, and I don't even know what I'm going to say. I think I've said this before or not. Maybe I said it just to David Gelman. Shout out to David Gelman for putting these together. I really appreciate it. Your help is invaluable, and there's no way in heck I could ever figure out how to do this. The whole, the fancy montages and the words and... So let's pretend I know exactly what the word Leviticus means, besides for translating it as Vayikra. But close, but we're coming to the end of the book of Leviticus. As we're coming to the end of the section discussing the function of the Mishkan, understand the construct that when the Jewish people aren't living up to their standards, that there are natural consequences built in. Even when functionally as religious individuals, we are just as functional as a 2-day-old infant in a neonatal intensive care unit that cannot even function with any iota without outside help. We should nevertheless remember that the juxtaposition of arachin, of the redemptive value tables and the redemptive value process of that tocha, means even when we feel we don't have value, we still have value in the eyes of Hashem. Have a great week, and be well.